My name is Zhu Changxu, and the topic of my presentation is about the research on the legalization of homosexual marriage. Homosexuality is a common universal phenomenon. A prevailing notion is that homosexual marriage should be legalized. This has also led to many social problems and prejudice. The purpose of my research is to answer the question that should same-sex marriage be legalized or not. In order to start the discussion on this topic, we first need to know what homosexuality is and why homosexuality occurs. According to the average statistics of the Ministry of Health and the Institute of Science in 2019, the number of homosexuals in China can reach 70 million, including more than 30 million men and about 35 million women. In other words, almost 5 to 6% of people in China are homosexuals. And this is a picture that shows percent of people who are familiar with homosexuality in the United States. So what is homosexuality? In general, homosexuality is a sexual interest in and attraction to members of one's own sex. In ancient China, homosexuality had been recorded. The broken leaves written down by the ancients refer to homosexuality. Homosexuality may be caused by genetic factors. Some people born like this, and in addition, the environment of childhood is also an important cause of it. Some children grew up with their mothers for a long time. They lack paternal love when they need it most, and they become dependent on same-sex care. So, should be homosexual marriage legalized or not? Back in 1976, some men have already marched on the streets of New York. In 2001, the Netherlands became the first country to legally recognize homosexual marriage. Over the past 20 years, 29 countries have officially recognized the same-sex marriage laws. In this picture, the global plan, dark blue represents the regions that legalize homosexual marriage. Light blue represents areas that recognize civil unions of the homosexuals, while the red and white areas represent that there is no positive law on same-sex marriage. Obviously, we can see from the global plan that nearly half of the area is in favor of same-sex marriage. Additionally, this picture shows the rapid rise. Of legal same-sex marriage in different states of the United States from 2003 and 2015. From the above data and charts, we can see that the scale of same-sex phenomena is large and the number is increasing every year. Therefore, it is meaningful to discuss whether same-sex marriage should be legalized for the rest of the country. And my research briefly analyzes the proportion and source of homosexuality. Then it reviews the literature related to homosexuality, including its impact on individuals, families, and society. For methods, in the university is considered as a setting. Students in the university as a sample. In the public, I divide the survey population into two categories and ask for opinions. One is the unmarried young people and the other is married people. The research instruments are street interviews. Questionnaire and street experiment. For street interview, I will take the initiative to ask students and passers-by to take some time to complete the inquiry on campus or on the street. The subjects are all the masses. These questions and answers are only short and one-sided. This part of the data will be made into a fan-shaped statistical chart to calculate and clarify whether the attitude towards the legalization of same-sex marriage is for or against. For questionnaire, I developed it, including a series of questions such as age, study, marital status, attitude towards homosexuality, and so on. Subjects can be divided into married and unmarried people. This part of the data will be made into a bar chart to clarify the age differentiation and the academic level of the survey group and clarify study and infer the different attitudes and answers of different people. The inferred data are often detailed, which can reasonably analyze the feasible or infeasible of the legalization of same-sex marriage from different classes of people. For street experiments, the data obtained from this part of the social survey and its role are similar to street interviews. For specific experiments, I will accompany the experiment at a part. I will hold a plaque in a crowded street or subway station, which says, "Will you shake hands with homosexuals?" The subjects are all the masses. The data obtained in this experiment are only handshake and no handshake. In other words, I will get a lot of data to infer whether the people support homosexuality or oppose it. For questionnaire, these four questions are the most meaningful part of my survey questions. From the data, we can see that there are homosexuals around all voters, and more than half the voters believe that people need to provide rights and protection for homosexuals, and the law needs to recognize same-sex marriage. At last, I gave a brief summary from the data I obtained. Although homosexuals account for a small proportion, the total number is very large. The state should hear the voice of this group and use the power of legislation to protect the rights and interests of this group. With the improvement of people's attitude, social and media acceptance of homosexuality, the legalization of same-sex marriage in most countries around the world is just around the corner. And that's all for my presentation. Thanks.